What if the key to revitalizing your sex life after 60 wasn't found in a pill bottle, a clinic, or a late-night commercial, but quietly hidden in plain sight within your own body? Sounds too good to be true, right? But imagine this. No prescriptions, no awkward side effects, no complicated machines or risky procedures. Just your own 2 hands, and 3 powerful points on your body you've likely never even noticed before. Points that, when gently tapped in a specific way, can naturally awaken your arousal system, restore blood flow, and help create firmer, more lasting erections no matter your age. Hi, I'm Dr. Moit Kara, and after more than 3 decades helping men reclaim their confidence and sense of masculinity, I've come to a truth that many in my profession still overlook. The body often holds the answers we're so desperately searching for, especially when it comes to sexual performance in later life. Today I'm going to take you on a journey, one that may very well change the way you think about your body, your health, and your ability to feel alive again. Because what I'm about to show you, most men never learn in a lifetime. I'll introduce you to 3 precise points on your body that, when tapped gently before intimacy, can trigger a cascade of biological responses, from increased blood circulation to heightened nerve sensitivity to deep relaxation, all culminating in more dependable natural erections. This technique is rooted in ancient Eastern acupressure practices, the same traditions that have supported health and vitality for thousands of years, and it's now being validated by modern neuroscience and circulatory research. It's safe, completely free, and can be done in the privacy of your own home. Yet most men over 60 will live out their days without ever discovering it. In the next few minutes, I'll guide you step by step through this forgotten ritual, showing you how to locate these pressure points, how to stimulate them correctly, and most importantly, why they work. You won't need any supplements, gadgets, or external tools. All you need is a few quiet moments before intimacy, and the willingness to try something different. And if you stick with me until the end, I'll also reveal a powerful 90-second ritual, one I've taught countless men who had almost given up on intimacy altogether. Men who thought their days of pleasure were behind them, only to rediscover not just physical connection, but also emotional vitality, self-respect, and a renewed sense of purpose. But before we jump into where and how to tap, let's talk about why this simple act is so effective. Because when you truly understand what's happening inside your body, the transformation becomes more than just physical. It becomes emotional. It becomes personal. Let's be honest, as men age, especially beyond 60, our bodies start reacting differently. Things slow down, energy shifts, and what once came effortlessly now requires more effort, more intention. It's not just about testosterone or libido anymore. It's about how your nervous system, your blood vessels, your stress levels, all of it interact in those crucial few moments before intimacy. And that's exactly where tapping becomes a game changer. When you stimulate specific acupressure points, you're not just touching the skin. You're sending a message deep into the system, a message that says, "Relax, you're safe, let the blood flow, you're ready." Think of it like flipping a switch, a biological switch that shifts your body from tension and hesitation to calm, confident readiness. It's like activating a signal in your nervous system that says, "Now's the time." So how does this work from a scientific and neurological perspective? Let me break it down for you. When I first heard about tapping, I was skeptical. I'm a doctor trained in Western medicine. My instinct was always to look for chemical solutions, prescriptions, blood panels, clinical diagnostics. But then I started listening more closely to my patients, men who had tried everything. Pills, injections, surgeries, and yet they still felt disconnected from their own bodies, frustrated, hopeless. So I dug deeper. I studied ancient practices, ran my own tests, watched how real men responded. And what I found changed everything. I realized that not all solutions come in bottles or clinics. Some of the most powerful answers are already inside us, locked away behind years of stress, tension, and shame. See, the human body is designed for intimacy. That's our natural state. But over time, the circuits get overloaded. Blood flow slows, nerves become less responsive. The body's natural rhythm gets thrown off by stress, poor sleep, inflammation, or emotional baggage. Many men over 60 start to think, maybe this is just how it is now. Maybe it's over. But I'm here to tell you it's not. Not if you understand how to reawaken your nervous system and how to help your body remember what it's capable of. Tapping is more than a technique. It's a language, a way of speaking directly to your body's inner wiring. When done with intention, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, what I call the green light mode. That's the state where your muscles relax, your blood vessels open, your breathing steadies, and your arousal becomes possible. You can't achieve an erection when you're anxious or on edge. Your body needs to feel safe, at ease, open. Tapping helps get you there gently, naturally, effectively, and I've seen it work. Men who hadn't felt anything for years, men who thought they were broken, began to feel a shift after just a few sessions. They became more responsive, more sensitive, more confident. Not because their testosterone suddenly spiked, but because their bodies were finally given the signal they had been waiting for. So now let me show you the first point. It's called CV6, known in Eastern medicine as the Sea of Energy. And it lives just a couple of finger widths below your belly button. You might be thinking, that's it. Just tap there. Yes. Exactly. I remember the first time I taught this to a patient. A man in his early 70s who had nearly given up. He looked down, placed his fingers on his lower abdomen, and said, half doubtful, half hopeful, "Here, really, that's all I do." I nodded. "That's it. Just a few gentle taps. Let's try it together." And the look on his face when he began to feel that subtle warmth, that stir of sensation, it said everything. Hope. Relief. A quiet kind of belief beginning to bloom. This point, CV6, connects directly to a network of nerves and vessels in the pelvic region. When stimulated, it encourages blood to flow into the lower abdomen and groin. It also helps dissolve the tension that many men unconsciously hold in this part of the body. Tension built up from years of shame, disappointment, or disconnection. But here's the beautiful part. Tapping this point doesn't just change your physiology, it changes your emotional state too. You begin to feel more grounded, more connected, more in control of your body again. This is just the beginning. And there are two more points I want to show you, each with their own role in awakening your arousal system and supporting lasting performance. But before we get there, take a moment. Place your fingers gently below your belly button. Breathe. Tap softly, tune in. This is your body. This is your power. And it's only just waking up. In the last part, we explored a powerful point located just below the navel, one that, when gently tapped with intention, can awaken a deeply masculine energy many men haven't felt in years. Now that you've begun to feel that warmth returning like an ember stirring after a long slumber, it's time to build on that momentum. Because there's more than one layer to intimacy. And it's not just about energy rising, but also about calming what stands in its way. Once a man connects with that lower point and breathes into it, something almost magical begins to happen. It's like a part of himself that had been locked away finally opens its eyes. That's why I always tell my patients, don't just go through the motions. Don't tap like you're checking something off a list. You have to mean it. Each tap should carry your focus, your breath, your intention. Picture the energy flowing beneath your skin. Visualize the blood beginning to circulate more freely. Imagine your body remembering its own strength, the strength it's always had, just waiting to be invited back. Tap for about a minute. Not rushed, not robotic. Take slow, deep breaths as you do. Pay attention because your body will respond. You might start to feel a soft tingling or a gentle warmth gathering low in your belly. That sensation. That's the beginning of the sea of energy rising. It's not loud or forceful. It's quiet, but deeply rooted in masculine vitality. You're not pushing or forcing anything. You're opening a door. You're inviting that energy to return. And sometimes just that small shift in approach invitation instead of force makes all the difference. But while this first point works to awaken your body, the next one is just as critical. Why? Because it helps quiet your mind. And as many of you know, even with perfect blood flow, if anxiety hijacks the moment, it can all unravel in an instant. So let me guide you to the second point, a spot you might never have expected to play such a powerful role in grounding and calming your entire system, especially right before intimacy. If you've made it this far and any of this is resonating with you, go ahead and type the number 1 in the comments. It's a small gesture, but it lets me know you're still with me and that this is landing where it needs to. Now on to the second key point. Point 2. The K1 or bubbling spring on the sole of the foot. I'll never forget a patient named George. He was 68 when he first walked into my office, and he carried the kind of silence you only find in men who've been struggling for far too long. He told me his biggest issue wasn't physical. It wasn't blood flow or hormone levels. It was anxiety. Every time he got close to being intimate, his thoughts would race, his heart would pound, and just like that, his erection would vanish. It was like his body and his mind were living in 2 entirely different rooms, unable to meet in the middle. That's when I introduced him to the K1 point. Everything started to shift after that. The K1 or bubbling spring is located right on the sole of your foot, just beneath the ball. It might seem strange, what could your foot possibly have to do with sexual function? But what this point activates runs much deeper than surface-level mechanics. It's about grounded energy, a sense of calm that starts from your foundation and moves upward. You see, by this point in life, most men are carrying a quiet tension with them everywhere. It builds slowly day after day, stress from work, relationships, finances, even aging itself. And when it finally comes time to be present, to connect, to be strong, the nervous system is too overloaded to cooperate. It's on edge, buzzing, braced for impact. But the K1 point speaks directly to that overactivity. When you tap or press gently here, it sends a powerful signal through your entire system. Slow down. Release. Trust this moment. When George began tapping his K1 points each evening, just 20 to 30 seconds on each foot, something profound started to happen. His thoughts didn't race as much. His breath became deeper. His sense of control began to return. It was subtle at first, but over time, that sense of quiet strength became his new normal. There's something incredibly grounding about touching your feet before sex. It's symbolic in a way. It draws your awareness downward, out of the storm of your thoughts and into the calm of your body. And when you combine that grounded calm with the heat you've already awakened in your lower abdomen, you begin to create a powerful internal balance. Energy rises from below, anxiety melts downward and away. But we're not done yet. There's still one more piece to this puzzle, and it sits in a place you might never expect. Because while the lower points awaken your physical readiness and help you ground yourself in calm, there's another point high above the rest that completes the circuit. It's the bridge between body and mind, And surprisingly, most men have never even considered tapping it. It's called 0.3 GV20, or the 100 meetings located at the top of the head. I'll walk you through it in the next section. But first, if you're still with me and you're finding this helpful, just type the number 1 in the comments. It's a simple way to let me know you're following along and ready to go deeper. Now let's move forward, because GV20 changes everything. Now that you've seen how each of the 3 tapping points works on its own, how they awaken energy, calm the mind, and restore balance, you might be wondering what happens when you bring them together. That's where the real transformation begins. Because when these 3 points are combined with mindful breathing and intentional presence, something extraordinary unfolds. This isn't just a technique, it's a quiet ritual. A moment of stillness that prepares your body, calms your nervous system, and aligns your mind with your heart right before intimacy. I call it the sequence tap method. And honestly, of all the tools I've introduced to older men, this one holds a special place. Because it's not about performance. It's about presence. It's not about fixing something. It's about reconnecting with who you've always been. That's why I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, even beyond, embrace this practice with a kind of reverence. It becomes more than a method. It becomes a form of self-respect. The beauty of it. It takes less than 2 minutes. No equipment, no special setting, no external validation. Just you, your breath, and your willingness to return to yourself. Here's how it works. You begin by gently tapping the area just below your belly button, what we call CV6, or the sea of energy. This point is deeply connected to your life force, your core strength, and your sexual vitality. As you tap, feel the stir of warmth in your lower body. You're not forcing anything. You're simply waking it up, reconnecting with the foundation of your masculine power. Then slowly bring your attention upward to the crown of your head, GV20, also known as the 100 meetings point. This spot isn't just a physical location, it's a gateway, a place where your thoughts, emotions, and energy converge. As you tap here, imagine your mind slowing down. Imagine it meeting your body not with judgment, but with curiosity. No pressure, no urgency, just a reunion between mind and body. Finally, shift your focus to the soles of your feet. K1, the grounding point. Gently tap each foot. Feel the contact, the anchoring. It's as if your energy, once scattered or anxious, begins to settle. You are rooted, present, alive. 3 points, 3 steps. And in those moments, 3 chances to come back to yourself. This isn't about achieving some perfect outcome. It's about giving yourself permission to be fully here, breathing, feeling, leading with intention. One of my patients, a 68-year-old widower, once told me, "This is the first time in years I've felt whole. Not because of the sex, but because I finally feel in sync with myself." That's what the sequence tap method can do. It doesn't promise fireworks, but it opens the door to real connection, first with yourself and then with your partner. Because when you're calm, present, and grounded, your partner feels it. Intimacy becomes less about performance and more about presence, less about doing and more about being. And let me say this again, this isn't a gimmick. It's not some trendy trick or empty promise. It's a small act of intention that says, I care about how I show up for myself and for the person I'm with. You're not doing this to impress anyone. You're doing this to remember the version of yourself that still lives inside you. The man who hasn't disappeared with time. The man who still desires. Who still feels. Who still deserves connection, closeness, and pleasure. And if you've ever felt like you've been going through the motions, like your body and mind have been out of sync, this is your way back. A simple 2-minute pathway that you can walk anytime, anywhere. So tonight I want to invite you to try it. Not because you have to, but because you can. You have everything you need, your breath, your body, your awareness. And I'll walk you through exactly how to make it a regular part of your life. Up next, we're going to create a simple, realistic plan. Nothing overwhelming, nothing complicated, just a few small steps you can take tonight to begin seeing real, natural results.